Watch this, Benoit.
In 1912, the Titanic claimed 1,500 lives. In 2023, it claimed 5 more.
Hi, my name is Stockton Rush. I'm the CEO and founder of
Is this
Ocean.
a documentary? Wait, is this a documentary actually dead ass or no? Zed's trying to. I gotta pee. I'm gonna play this, but I'm gonna listen to it in my headphones while I go pee real quick. I'm actually kind of interested in this low key. Let's watch this for a sec.
Let's take a look at Titan.
Stockton was designing a mousetrap for billionaires.
A submersible vessel which takes people to see the wreck of the Titanic has gone missing in the Atlantic Ocean.
Tonight, an international search operation is underway. Like the Titanic, it was a disaster just waiting to happen.
I broke some rules to make this. I think I broke it with logic and engineering behind it. At some point, safety is a submersible vessel has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body. Literally
In the world.
Hey, I wanted to be an astronaut.
Now wait a minute. Wait, run that back for a second.
went out with the biggest bang, and who was the last person to murder 2 billionaires?
Okay, so is that guy acting like the whole plan of the Ocean Gate was like to get a double murder off or get a double kill like in Halo? Is that what this guy talking about? Listen, old Stocky had to have been on his way to $1 billion himself, right? Building that shit. But old Stocky had to have been on his way to $1 billion building that shit himself. So what's that guy talking about, bro? That's what I'm saying, bro. He got bodied himself. That's a dumbass plan.
Stockton was supposedly a very smart boy, a graduate of Princeton University, and the youngest jet transport pilot in the world.
Hey, I wanted to be an astronaut. That's why I got an engineering degree. I watched Star Trek, Star Wars, all the video, and I wanted to see those alien life forms. And eventually I realized, one, I wasn't going to go to space, and I wasn't going to get to Jupiter or Mars, but I did realize that all the cool stuff that I thought was out there is actually underwater.
Stockton had become an expert in aerospace engineering. He did this in hopes of becoming the first person to set foot on Mars. But unfortunately for Stockton, someone else was likely to beat him to it.
And one day, we will indeed occupy Mars.
And maybe that's why Stockton decided to create the SpaceX of the ocean.
We always called ourselves SpaceX for the oceans. When I first met Stockton, he struck me as a very intelligent person. He also struck me as a very savvy engineer. Elon's doing the same thing at SpaceX, right?
So Stockton's obsession with space quickly became an obsession with the ocean.
And what I wanted to do with the business was just move the needle, get people excited about the ocean, explore the ocean, and discover what was out there.
Stockton's philosophy was simple. Why would we use resources to explore space when we haven't even fully explored Earth and its oceans? There's so much to explore in the ocean, as only 25% has been mapped with modern technology.
There will be a time when people will go to space at much less cost.
What? What? Sarah, ain't you from Missouri? You should be able to understand that shit. Yeah, correct. I be watching on 2X all the time, bro. I be watching on 2X all the time.
I think the same thing's going to happen going underwater. It's going to get less expensive.
But then you literally watch these and it feels like you're watching it in slow-mo.
Much more accessible. That's where we're going to have cities.
That's what I'm saying,
Chuck.
Chuck.
They're going to be down there exploring. To me, we'll have cities underwater before we have them up in space.
On the moon?
Yeah.
And this was Stockton's vision, an underwater city that would provide humans with sustainable resources for generations.
If you think about the Earth as really the landmass that we all occupy, then there are 3 planets worth of resources available in the ocean. Minerals, chemicals, biological. It is a vast, huge opportunity.
An opportunity that was being overlooked in favor of space exploration.
Establishing a self-sustaining base on Mars.
The future of mankind is underwater. It's not on Mars. We're not going to have a base on Mars or the moon. You know, we'll try and waste a lot of money. We'll have a base underwater because when the sun extinguishes, there will still be hydrothermal vents, and there will still be those life forms down there that are living off chemosynthesis that don't need the sun. You know, if we trash this planet, the best lifeboat for mankind is underwater.
But getting humans to the bottom of the ocean is a very difficult task. It's
Is there an Ocean Gate dock? Oh wait.
expensive.
There is there's a regulatory challenge.
And the current regulations wouldn't allow Stockton to build a submarine that could go deeper than 150
That gotta be the most generic.
And the current regulations wouldn't allow Stockton.
That's gotta be. How many times have you seen this stock image? This exact one. How many times have you seen this exact stock piece of footage? I maybe have seen this 1,000 times. Really? Y'all don't recognize this from like 100 other videos, bro. I feel like I've seen this so often. Am I bugging on that, Chunk? Wait, dead ass? Oh, okay. I'm alone on that. I feel like I've seen this 100,000 times. Sarah, I think you just ain't paying attention, bro. I mean, you can't even do 1.25x looking ass.
To build a submarine that could go deeper than 150 feet.
I think over time, Stockton just realized that the only way we were going to be able to help humanity unlock the secrets of the ocean, was to get past the regulations and just prove that it could be done as safely as possible.
At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything. Yeah. At some point, you're going to take some risk, and it really is a risk-reward question. I said, I think I can do this just as safely by breaking the rules.
So for the next few years, Stockton continued breaking the rules. He'd go on to document his entire journey in 4K, and he'd give lectures on submarine safety along the way.
And one of the things I came up with are the myths. One is that subs are dangerous. In the last 35 years, there hasn't been a serious injury, and there have been over 15 million people go in them. But they're statistically the safest vehicles on the planet.
You know what's interesting? They had this guy like out there doing talks about submersibles, like presumably years and years and years before his imploded. But nobody was questioning him then until his actual sub imploded. You know what I'm saying? I bet this guy was like a kind of like a low-key big shot in the submarine world. And they was like, oh, we're gonna get Stocky to come out here and talk, bro. And then Stocky come out and talk, he say some bullshit, and okay, it turned out to be wrong because this shit explodes. But nobody called him on that before that. Kind of bombs. But did they like him before, Pinoy? I bet they liked him before.
Stockton didn't always have this attitude towards safety. The early days of OceanGate were an entirely different story.
Only after a complete systems test is the OceanGate crew ready to dive.
The company's first sub was...
Well, they hate him now, Pinoy, but did they hate him before?
Called Antipodes, and it was the perfect test sub for OceanGate.
It's our first sub, Antipodes, and we use that as our training sub.
58 inches diameter. It is about 15 feet long.
This sub had already been certified by the American Bureau of Shipping, so there was a very slim chance of it imploding. It was designed to withstand depths of around 1,000 feet, which is impressive, but nowhere near the depth of the Titanic.
This is where the Titanic is on the ocean floor, below 12,500 feet of water.
But
okay, just for the record, this video clip this guy's got, not accurate. This is probably about 100 feet down. Now, down. How do you know that? Well, you're talking to a certified scuba diver. That's how I know it, okay? And that distance right there, from wherever this camera is at to the surface. Okay, shut up, Sarah. Listen to me, okay? The distance from the guy taking this camera to the top is, I'm guesstimating, probably about 75 feet deep. Okay, so another 25 feet down, that's where you saw old Dommy at. Okay, just so y'all know.
Ocean floor below.
But that's kind of what it looked like. It was a little darker where I was at.
12,500 feet of water.
But OceanGate weren't ready for the Titanic just yet. At this point, they were just a look.
Lando. That's what I'm saying, bro. Sarah tried to talk to me, bro. Bust Sarah's ass.
Local submarine team, and in the early days, their eyes were set on some lesser-known shipwrecks.
Spider-Man, just so I'm clear, you a certified scuba diver? What association you certified with? Where you get your card from? Spider-Man, where you certified at, bro? Let me know. In Subnautica?
Local submarine team is exploring the wreck of a luxury passenger liner that sank 90 years ago this spring off the coast of Port Townsend.
Today we're doing our third day of diving on the SS Governor.
The SS Governor was located in Washington, and it was often referred to as the area's mini Titanic.
The Governor was a luxury liner that was on its way from San Francisco to Seattle on April 1st, 1921. Shortly after midnight, it collided with...
Chug. You think it's fucking funny?
With a freighter, 8 of the 240 people on board went down with the ship.
For years, there have been rumors that it went down with a loaded
Okay, but my certification is lifelong.
Safe. The infamous safe.
That safe is believed to contain around $4 million worth of gold coins. At first, I thought OceanGate was trying to pull off a $4 million submarine heist. You know, just like the opening scene in the first Titanic movie.
It's payday, boys.
But as it turns out, even if they did happen to find the treasure, they would have been forced to hand it over to the man who owns its salvage rights. So I guess OceanGate weren't in this area for profit. They really just wanted to explore the area and test their new sub's capabilities.
The crew of the sub is practicing its approaches to the Governor in 240 feet of water for a much more dangerous inspection of the Montebello at 900 feet down.
After the
I'm going diving this summer, Chunk.
Mini Titanic, OceanGate would...
Chunk, send me your picture right now. Chunk, send me a selfie on Snap right now.
Move on to a much deeper shipwreck. Their goal was to ramp up the depths of their dives.
Chunk, send me a picture on Snap right now.
one shipwreck at a time.
It's part of our ramp up to a California expedition that we're doing in September to a shipwreck called the SS Montebello.
The Montebello was a U.S. oil tanker that was torpedoed by a Japanese sub off the coast of California during World War II.
The SS Montebello was not another ship holding treasure. In fact, it was quite the opposite.
It went down with an estimated 70,000 barrels of oil on board.
If you actually found the money safe or whatever the fuck on the Titanic worth $4 million and you came up to the top and you said, well, actually, we need to turn this into Johnny McJohnerson, who has the salvage rights to the Titanic. Johnny McJohnerson can fuck himself. Johnny McJohnerson ain't getting a goddamn dime. I found these gold coins. in the middle of a reef in the middle of Satan's booty hole. Okay, I didn't find these in the Titanic. Fuck you, dickheaded twat. You ain't getting shit. Yeah, ain't nobody reporting that shit. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Ain't nobody reporting that shit. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Talk about, I got the salvage rights. Oh, yeah? Well, good. Look how wide oh my God. Holy shit. Put that down. Keep it moving.
Posing a huge environmental threat to California's coastline.
OceanGate wanted to make a name for themselves by preventing this environmental
Lando, don't make me bust your ass.
And their plan was to create a 3D map of the wreck using their new sonar technology.
I be kind of looking like Chunk when I pull my sleeve up, huh? Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
The team is also testing the latest in 2- and 3-dimensional sonar equipment.
And we're taking our sub and our Blueview sonar system down there to create a 3D map of that wreck.
Not many people know about these expeditions, but they were a critical part of OceanGate's early days. And after mapping out that oil spill, they were ready for phase 2 of their company's mission.
An historic Washington State tragedy is helping head off a future one.
I got a nasty ass farmer's camel.
In Seattle, Gary Chittum, King 5 News.
This local submarine team was taking over the ocean. Stockton increases the budget, and after 130 successful dives, investors were asking the same question. Was this team going to be the next SpaceX? Name of the company, OceanGate Incorporated. It's a cutting-edge, high-tech firm out of the Midwest awaiting imminent patent approval on the next generation of submersible vehicles. Right now, the stock trades over the counter at 10 cents a share. But with the collaboration of one of hip-hop's biggest stars, our analysts indicate it could go a heck of a lot higher than that. Macklemore was on top of the world in 2014. It was the year he won 4 Grammy Awards.
And the Grammy goes to Macklemore and Ryan Lewis.
Was he doing something with...
But his most underrated win that year was his collaboration with Stockton Rush.
I think we're gonna find sharks.
The pair would team up in search of the incredibly rare 6-gill shark, a trait that was very uncommon amongst most shark species.
What is the probability that we will see a shark today?
Somewhere between 0 and 100.
Macklemore had been a fan of sharks his entire life, and he was pretty skeptical that Stockton would find a shark as rare as the 6-gill.
If we don't see a shark, you'll buy me a shark.
A little one.
A baby shark.
Yeah, baby.
Right. That's a deal.
It's a deal. Okay.
But little did he know, they would find a shark. In that yellow submarine, under 400 feet of water, Stockton and Macklemore were going to create memories that would last forever.
Oh my God!
6-gill. Topside. We have a 6-gill at the viewport.
Very exciting. Didn't think it was gonna happen. Pulled it out. Our mission is complete.
It has been an unbelievable experience, something that I will absolutely never forget.
That was awesome.
And it's made me love sharks even more.
Stay true. Is he still making music?
And that was it. That was
no shot, bro.
The business model at the time for OceanGate.
We do guides looking for 6-gill sharks and things like that that are at 5,000.
It's a very unusual business. It's its own category. It's a new type of travel.
And eventually, they'd be selling tickets to the Titanic for up to $250,000 a person. However, it wasn't going to be in Antipodes. Remember, this yellow sub was only certified for dives that were 1/12 the depth of the Titanic. And unfortunately for Stockton, you couldn't just buy or rent a sub that was capable of going 12,500 feet. Stockton believed it was the strict laws and
it is again, Bo.
Regulations that were preventing him from innovating the submersible industry. So he came to the conclusion that
who the hell is Ben Shabubu?
He only had one reasonable option remaining, building his own sub.
Initially, we didn't think we were going to build our own subs. We thought we were going to get somebody else to build our subs. The industry standard just wouldn't allow for them to build what we felt we needed and what we thought humanity needed to explore the ocean.
So they did what a lot of companies do. They break the rules and act now, then they ask for forgiveness later. And the name they decided to give their first custom-built sub?
Cyclops, a new manned submersible, now undergoing sea trials.
There you go. That's pretty good right there.
It was time to go all in. Stockton was going to ignore the industry's strict rules and regulations. It was time to prove them all wrong.
Cyclops is going to be a very useful tool for any organization, company, or institution that needs to go underwater and perform tasks at depth.
Cyclops is the newest creation of OceanGate, a for-profit private company in partnership with the University of Washington's Applied Physics Laboratory.
We couldn't have done it without that partnership. You know, the Applied Physics Lab has been effectively our engineering partner.
But this wasn't going to be a usual submarine. Stockton wanted to create the most simple and easy-to-use submarine on the market.
Stockton is very interested in being able to quickly train pilots, have pilots be able to come in and use this thing without having to go through weeks of training on there.
Solution? This video game controller.
They did him nasty. They did nasty work with this after the implosion, bro.
Game controller to drive the sub. First thing is there are 2 dead man switches. You have to press one of these buttons, and now it's ready to go.
And in 2015, the sub was ready to go. So Stockton organized a big reveal, and the christening ceremony.
Well, even Sarah could drive that shit.
On behalf of the whole OceanGate team and all the team members who are here tonight, I christen the Cyclops.
Look at Bo, she got some control freaks on that bitch too. Keep that shit a buck. Those control freaks, bro.
So all of our test program has been about incremental testing. We started over 2 years ago with Cyclops 1. Out here, this is really focused on one thing, and that's the pressure vessel, and making sure that component is safe and capable of handling depths down to 4,000 meters repeatedly.
I feel so lucky I got to do one dive while the Cyclops was here.
But Cyclops wasn't the final product. Cyclops 2 began development a few years later, although Stockton didn't like that name very much. So they rebranded to Titan.
Hi, my name is Stockton Rush. I'm the CEO and founder of OceanGate. Let's take a look at Titan.
If you thought Cyclops was simplistic, just wait till you see its successor.
It's got one button, and that's it. We have our control screen here, our sonar screen here, and we can put any image we want in the back.
It's one of the only subs that can hold 5 people.
It's also the only one with a toilet. Sort of.
There were some parts that kind of looked like they held together.
And yet, I couldn't help noticing how many pieces of this sub seemed improvised.
We can use these off-the-shelf components.
I got these from Camper World. We run the whole thing with this game controller.
Come on!
And so what if people laugh? Titan was fully operational in just a few years, and it was all made possible with the leadership of Stockton Rush.
I think you did it, Stockton.
There's some luck here. High five on Mike Alex. Here we go. Okay. Maybe a win-win. Maybe. Yeah.
And as days became months, and months became years, that little sub was passing every test imaginable.
This is why you want your pilot to be an engineer.
He believed that building this sub would help him unlock the secrets of the ocean. But Stockton wasn't building his own submarine. He was building his own coffin.
It's a miracle it can do what it does when you look at it there, because when you look at it, it is very small. It looks like it's put together with a piece of string, but it's not, obviously.
We can scale to multiple vehicles relatively quickly because we've used commercially off-the-shelf products for almost everything we do. We can bring additional vessels online in a matter of months as opposed to years or decades.
So Stockton plans to create even more low-budget submersibles, and soon enough, he was going to have his own fleet of submarines. The only question being, were they safe?
Absolutely fucking not.
I'd like to be remembered as an innovator. I think it was General MacArthur said, "You're remembered for the rules you break." And I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me. The carbon fiber and titanium, there's a rule you don't do that. Well, I did.
The most controversial feature of Titan was its carbon fiber hull. This was considered controversial because the industry standard material was titanium.
Engineers zero in on titanium, a super strong and lightweight material that would allow deep-sea vehicles to reach the Titanic. It is with this material that today's most inventive submarine builders continue to push technology forward to penetrate the ocean's deepest regions.
But Stockton didn't like titanium. He believed carbon fiber was the better material.
Carbon fiber is 3 times better on a strength to buoyancy basis than titanium. And underwater, that's what you care about. It's not strength to weight, it's strength to buoyancy. And yet no one had done that.
Titan was able to skirt the law by operating in international waters. And although it passed multiple test dives, many believed the carbon fiber hull was slowly being damaged over time.
If the sub passed its pressure test, it wasn't going to fail on the first dive, but it's going to fail over time. It might fail on dive 7, which is insidious. You don't get that with steel or with titanium.
Carbon fiber is a great material. It's better than titanium. It's better than a lot of other materials.
When I started the business, old-timers in the industry told me I was nuts, and they continue to tell me that.
So Stockton continued operating his carbon fiber sub, recording the entire assembly process along the way.
Oh yeah, so that will be the pressure vessel for Cyclops 2.
Correct, Benoit.
4,000 meters. It'll be the deepest diving carbon fiber sub ever built. When it goes to 4,000 meters, it'll be the only one out there. I'm going to be the first guy in the sub, so we will see. It's pretty simple, but if we mess it up, there's not a lot of recovery.
With his goal being to explore the bottom of the ocean, you'd reasonably expect some sort of certification from a third-party agency. However, Titan was never certified by any regulatory body, and that's because Stockton believed that these agencies were
over the top in their rules and regulations, but they had nothing with carbon fiber. So we had to go out and work on that. And one of the things I learned is, when you're outside the box, it's really hard to tell how far outside the box you really are. And we were pretty far out there. So we have a carbon fiber hull.
His thoughts about breaking the rules is really about thinking outside the box and coming up with innovative solutions.
I mean, anything when you're trying something outside the box, people inside the box think you're nuts. Same thing when Elon Musk was doing SpaceX. Inside the box, everything's scary.
Titan continued to pass every test that Stockton could throw at it, and eventually, Titan needed a new milestone, a new goal to reach. So can you guess where it was headed next?
The goal was, where do you want to go in the ocean? What is the most known site in the ocean? And it's clearly the Titanic.
Titanic is just such a huge draw.
It became a must-do dive. I read an article that said there are 3 words in the English language that are known throughout the planet, and that's Coca-Cola, God, and Titanic.
If you ever watched the 1997 movie, you know it's a combination of both history and fiction. The film centers around the fictional love triangle of Rose, Jack, and Caledon. And when shit hits the fan, we get to see the characters' true colors.
Coca-Cola.
I'd rather be his than your wife.
But remember, this story was just fictional. However, on the other side of the ship, we'd get a glimpse of the story that kicks off our sequel, Titanic 2.
Please, Ida, get into the boat. No!
This is Isidore and Ida Strauss, 2 passengers who were actually on board the Titanic in 1912. Their tale is well documented and has been recreated in various films and musicals.
We've been together for 40 years, and where you go, I go. Don't argue with me, Isidore. You know it does no good.
Isidore and Ida would go down with the ship in 1912, but not before having a number of descendants, one of them being the communications director at OceanGate, and who also just so happened to be married to a man named Stockton. And maybe that's why Stockton was so obsessed with continuously going down to the Titanic.
Wait! And our goal is to go back to the Titanic year after year, scan it with sonar,
Wait, she was their
document the
daughter?
wreck and its decay, and discover what we can discover.
And so the stage was set for the adventure of a lifetime, but Stockton couldn't fund these expeditions on his own, so he began advertising his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to the public, and the now-deleted promotional video was set to be released.
OceanGate Expeditions offers you the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be a specially trained crew member safely diving to the Titanic wreckage site. Get ready for what Jules Verne could only imagine, a 12,500-foot journey to the bottom of the sea. It's the OceanGate Titanic experience.
We partnered with aerospace experts at the University of Washington, NASA, and Boeing on the design of our hull.
It's very well engineered and very safe, and the team is very focused on safety first.
Not 1 second of me experiencing anything from OceanGate have I ever felt unsafe.
As I pointed out on the bridge earlier, your safety plan.
Wait, she was the chef?
Of me experiencing anything from OceanGate have
What the hell are they asking her for? She's a fucking chef.
I ever felt unsafe.
As I pointed out on the bridge earlier, your safety plans all around the vessel.
Come join us on our next expedition. Don't miss the opportunity to be part of history. The OceanGate Titanic experience. There's truly nothing else like it.
But this wasn't just another episode of Black Mirror, nor was it an episode of The Twilight Zone. This was reality. And although quite a few people were eager to get themselves a ticket, there was still one question that remained.
What's the level of danger with this type of expedition?
Well, surprisingly, the safest part of the expedition will be the submarine part. In the last 35 years, there hasn't been an injury on a commercial, private sub, although there have been over 15 million people go in them. Going to sea is intrinsically a risky activity, but we're doing everything we can to make sure that it's as safe and comfortable as possible.
Well, Stockton
went on quite a few media runs during this period, with the goal of highlighting OceanGate's mission.
Our rule is we risk capital, we don't risk people.
The media coverage before the incident flaunted a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It looks like there are these rust formations. That's actually what's left over from the bacteria that's consuming it at a huge rate.
Really? So we may not be able to see it forever. So go get into a submersible now.
Finally, the crew seems to foster a culture of safety. There were checklists, inspections before and after every dive, and a 3 strikes rule. If 3 things seemed out of the ordinary, no matter how minor, they'd cancel the dive.
But the media coverage after Titan's implosion was an entirely different story.
Everyone I know keeps asking me the same question. Why would you get on that dangerous sub?
A 60-minute special identifying over 30 members of the maritime community who warned Stockton about Titan's safety procedures, and a chief submersible pilot who was fired and subsequently sued for speaking out against OceanGate.
If someone raised a safety concern, as the chief pilot did, they were not only not listened to,
they were silenced.
But with all that being said, if you did manage to get a ticket to the Titan expedition, you can't say that Stockton didn't warn you.
This is an experimental sub. People are informed that it's very dangerous down there.
It's an open book here. Do you have any questions about what's going on, about acoustic monitoring, about carbon fiber problems we had, rumors of problems we had, actual problems we had? Feel free to ask. We're happy to show everything. We want everyone going into this fully informed. This is an experimental sub. This is a dangerous environment. It's 6,000 PSI. Very few people have been down there. And so we want to make sure that you're going in with an open eye and you understand what's going on. If you don't want to do it at any time, feel free to say, hey, I want to take a pass, and we can work something out. Maybe bring you another year or something else. But really want to make sure you're aware of all this.
And as a last-ditch effort to limit their liability, you'd also have to sign OceanGate's waiver.
An experimental submersible vessel that has not been approved or certified by any regulatory body and could result in physical injury, disability, emotional trauma, or death. Where do I sign?
When subs implode.
June 18th, 2023, the OceanGate Titanic experience is set to begin.
Are reporting the divers to go. Please stand by.
This shit got me locked
Members are
in, bro.
sealed into the submersible, and so is their fate.
CEO Stockton Rush, businessman Hamish Harding,
French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet,
businessman Shahzada Dawood, and his 19-year-old son Suleiman were on the expedition as part of a Father's Day trip.
Everything was going according to plan.
One of the questions about this is how risky is going in the sub. Turns out in this expedition, probably the safest thing will be once you're underwater. Once I'm a couple of feet underwater, I know I'm coming back. I know everybody's coming back.
In just under 2 hours, Titan had lost communication with its mothership, but the crew at the surface did not file a missing report for nearly 8 hours. Finally, someone snapped.
Call the fucking Coast Guard.
Vessel disappeared during an underwater mission to tour the Titanic wreckage.
Tonight, an international search operation is underway.
We'll continue to find the Titan and the crew members.
Every news station in the world was in on this story. They brought in experts, former passengers, hell, they even got James Cameron on the line.
Stockton Rush asked me if I wanted to go out there and dive this season. I wasn't interested.
And then came the rumors. A leaked transcript of the crew's final moments and a series of tapping sounds were supposedly heard around Titan's last known location. But of course, both of these rumors were declared fake by the feds.
Tapping sounds ridiculous.
All that was left was a few hours of oxygen and a race against time.
Have just hours of oxygen left, now heightening the race against time to rescue the 5 people inside.
Time was running out. And well, they did end up finding that submarine.
Debris from the Titan has been brought to the surface from the ocean floor. Several pieces of the doomed vessel.
Once the pressure vessel is, you're certain it's not going to collapse on everybody, everything else can fail. Your thrusters can go, your lights can...
Wait, that was the ending? That was the ending of your little video, Funny? Funny, there was no closure. Funny, there was no closure. Yeah, correct. Well, they got obliterated. They got blown to hell. That's balls. That video was also 8 months old. But he ain't even giving us new information, bro. But he ain't even giving us like the latest and the greatest. Right, but they didn't even talk about like the signs of implosion or like, implosion signs, bro. It ain't nothing.
And if you hear this and then go on bend your back, go on bend your knees, baby, shake it to the max. Will the DJ please turn up the bass to the max? Please just rewind, let me shake it to the
Okay, so how was there no ending on that joint?
What is an implosion? Implosion is a process of destruction by collapsing inwards of the object itself. Where explosion expands, implosion contracts. In the case of the Titan submersible, the implosion was caused due to very high hydrostatic pressure of the surrounding water, which happened within a fraction of a millisecond, as shown in the animation. At the depth the Titanic rests, there is around 5,600 pounds per square inch of pressure. That's almost 400 times the pressure we experience on the surface. As the submersible is deep in the ocean, it experiences the force on its surface due to the water pressure. When this force becomes larger than the force hull can withstand, the vessel implodes violently. But why did this implosion happen to the Titan submersible? Existing technology is based on steel, titanium, and aluminium. These are what kept other submarines from being crushed. But the Titan has had an experience.
Bedtime, Chug! Bedtime, Chug. But we've gotten down a submersible rabbit hole. We've gone down a submersible rabbit hole, and it ends here, gamers. Bro, I watched a 45-minute video on the Titan submersible and got no closure. And I got no closure. Okay? But for now, we getting off. It's 4:30 a.m. here, so I'm going to bed. I'm going to see y'all again on Thursday or Friday. Okay, so lock in. Watch all the shit. Yeah, you can clip them, Zach. Yeah, you definitely can. I don't know how you do it, but you definitely can. I'm going to see y'all again Thursday or Friday. Thank y'all for the love. Watch all my videos. Watch all the streams. Watch all the shit. I'm going to see y'all again then. Good night, gang. Good night.